To add scores in our game, we need to create another controller. So I'll go to my objects folder. Inside the objects we have controllers folder, and I'm going to right click and create new object, and I'm going to name this controller score controller. Alright, and I'll click OK. Before writing anything inside this score controller, we need to create our font, because a score will be shown as font, so we need to create font first in order to show that scores. Alright, so there is a folder called fonts on the left side. I will right click on it and I will click on create font, and I will name this font score. Alright, and now I need to choose the font style, so I can choose anyone. I will go with let's say we have Comic Sans MS. Alright, and I will change the size 40. Okay, so I'll click OK. So we have created our font. This is the font style that we will use for showing up in our playroom while implementing or playing the game. So let's go to our score controller, and inside this controller we are gonna create our event called create, and inside this create we are gonna bring up the script, and inside this script I'm going to define a global variable that will store the scores. So I will write global dot your underscore score equals to 0. Alright, and I will add another variable global dot starts equals to 0. This variable is used to whether to detect we have started our game or not. Alright, so these are the two variables, global variables, that we need in our create event. So let's save it and click on this tick icon, and I'm going to create another event. If I click on this draw, and there is another tab opened up, and we do need to click on the first item inside this drop down. So I'll click on draw. Alright, and I'll go to control and I will drag script again. Alright, so there is a way we can draw our scores. Alright, so what I will do now, I will first set the position of my scores. So to set the position of my scores, I will set if global dot your scores is less than 100, then I will add global dot x position equals to room underscore width divided by 2 minus 50. I'm doing this because when our scores are getting greater than 2 digits or less than 2 digits, actually less than 3 digits, because we have added 100, then we need to shift our scores to the left side, because we want our score to be at the center of screen. So that's why I'm doing this. After that, I'm going to draw my scores with these 3 lines. I can use functions, built-in GML functions that I can use. So I can write draw underscore set, and I can first set the color of the font. So I can write draw underscore set underscore color, and inside it I can write C underscore, and it will show up all the colors that are available in my game maker language. So I will write C underscore black. Okay, so we have set our color. After that, we need to set our font style. We have already created our font called score, so we will let it know that that is the font that we need to use to show up the score. So I will write draw underscore set underscore font, and I will write the exact name of that font. Okay, so that is our score. Okay, so after that, the last line is we need to draw the score. So draw underscore text, and in here I need to write the position of my scores to show up on my screen. So I will write global dot x pos dot, and from the top we need to give y-axis, and I will write 170. all right, and after that I need to write the variable in which our scores are being stored. So if we go to our create and open up the script, you can see that this is the variable that we define, global dot your underscore score. So I will write global dot your underscore score. All right, so that's been done. Now if I click on this tick icon and I will click OK, and I will save my project, and if I play my game, my scores will be shown up, but they will not be incremented as I will click on different balloons. Okay, I just want to see that if the scores font is being shown up on my playroom or not. Okay, so I'll click on start, I'll click on pop me. These are not shown up. The reason is that I haven't added my controller inside this room. All right, so I will just open up my playroom. All right, and inside my objects tab, I will click on it. I will go to controller, and there is a controller score controller. All right, and I will just click right here. Let's click outside, and then I will drag it inside my grid. Okay, so that's been done. Now if I click on tick icon, I'll click on play button, and the scores should be shown up. By default the score will be 0, so I'll click on it. So you can see that the scores are being shown up. This is the 0. I need to now increment the score if I press each balloon. Okay, and I will increment by 2. So let's go and open up our blue balloon, and inside my left pressed, when I left press any balloon, then what I will do, I will write global dot your underscore score, which is the variable, plus equals to 2. All right, I'll copy this line and I will paste this line in every balloon. Okay, so open up the red one, left pressed, open the script and paste this code right here. Okay, and I'll do this in all the balloons. Make sure you don't do any mistake, and make sure you, once you paste this line and you click on this tick icon, and I'll click OK and save your project. And if I click on this play button, the scores should increment if I press or click on any of those balloons. Okay, so now let's go. So you can see as I am clicking or pressing each balloon, the scores are getting incremented. But we need to increment our scores by 5 if we click on star. So let's go and open up the star, this one. Okay, and open up the left pressed and just paste this line and change the 2 to 5. All right, and I'll click on this tick icon. Okay, and OK, save the project, and I'll click on play button. Now click on start, click on pop me. Now make sure that if we click on star, the score should be incremented by 5. So it is incrementing by 5, so our scores are working fine. There's a lot of things we need to do right now. We need to add lives. If our balloons, 5 balloons gets down, then we need to end our game, and our game should navigate to our end screen, and inside the end screen we need to show up the current score and the high scores that we have ever made on this particular device, whether it's iPhone, Android, or on desktop or web. All right, so let's first what I'll do now, I will first add up the lives, and the numbers of lives will be shown on the top right corner. And if by default I'll set that number to 5, and when that number will become 0, we will navigate to our next end screen. So let's go and add up the lives. Now for adding lives, I'm going to create another controller, and I'm going to name this controller balloons controller, because that will uh, cover up that how many balloons have gone down and how many balloons have to go down and the remaining balloons. Okay, so let's click OK, and now I'm going to create actually I'm going to use the same font style, same font size for the same lives. Don't make you confused with the name of this font. We can use the same font for multiple things. Okay, this will not create any problem. So I will open up the balloons controller again, and inside it, when this controller will be created, what should we do? We should initialize our variable that should have the value of total lives of our game. So I will write global dot total underscore balloons, and total lives would be 5. Okay, so I'll click on tick icon and I will go to add event, and I will add another event called step. Alright, and what it will do, it will keep on checking if the variable total balloons are greater than 0 or not. If the values are getting have got lower than 0, less than 0, then we should navigate to our next room. We should end our game. Alright, so I'm gonna check if global dot total underscore balloons less than equals to 0, then I will navigate to room underscore go to, and I will write here room, the name of my room. I haven't created my room yet, so let's name it end underscore room. Alright, I'm just gonna create. Once I do with this controller, I'll go and create my room controller first. Okay, not room controller, we have our end room. Okay, so let's click on this tick icon. Now the last thing is that we need to draw our lives at the top right corner. So click on draw and click on draw. Okay, and I will drag the script, and inside it, again as I did earlier, I need to draw underscore set and the color, and I can write C underscore black, and after that I need to set it a font, and I'm gonna use the same font that I created under the fonts folder. Okay, and after that I need to draw my text. So room underscore width minus 80, this is the X position for our text, and 170 is the Y position, and the variable to show up is global underscore total underscore balloons. Alright, so we are done with this script. Let me re-verify the name of, so I'm gonna copy the name and I'll click on tick, click OK. So I will right click room, create room, I will go to settings and I will paste the name so that there is no difference and mistake in the spelling. So I will change the size, so width would be 768 and height would be 1024. Okay, so I'll just click on tick icon. There will be nothing, just a white screen, so we just need to verify whether the white screen shows up or not. Alright, now the last thing we need to do is we need to go to all the balloons and check if any of these balloons are getting below. Go to the step, and this is where we are checking if any of the balloons are gone down or not. Alright, we are destroying the instance, but with that we need to decrement the total balloons. If I open up this controller, balloons controller, and we need to copy this variable total balloons, and as any balloon goes down we need to decrement its value. Alright, so let's open up all the balloons, blue, step, and inside it I'm going to copy that variable and I will write global dot that variable name, and I will write minus minus. Alright, this will decrement this variable by 1. Alright, so I'll copy this line and I will open up all the balloons, and inside the script of step event I will paste this statement. Okay, as we know that step event automatically execute its actions 30 times in a second, so it will keep on checking. If the balloon has gone down, then we need to decrement that variable. Okay, so step okay, and open up the yellow step, open up the purple and paste this one. Alright, so we are done with all the script. The last thing we need to do is to add our controller in our play room. Alright, so I will just come right here and I will open up the objects tab and I'll click on this icon, go to controller, and we have balloons controller. Okay, so I will just click right here and I will drag it inside my grid. Okay, as I explained earlier that I'm clicking outside because if I click on inside the grid, it just selects this orange object from this room. Alright, rather than creating my controller and this question mark icon inside my grid. So I click on outside because I need to create this one, then after that I drag it inside my grid. So I'll click on this tick icon and I will save my project and let's play this. Alright, click on start, pop me, and you can see there is a 5. Now I will let 5 balloons go down and see if the game ends or not. So let's go the red. It's 4. Let's go 3, 2, 1, 0. So our game is working fine and we are navigated to our end screen. Now we need to design our end screen to show up the local score and the high score. The high score is a kind of tricky part, but we will do right now. So let's go and do that. I have my end underscore room opened and now I need to design this room first. So let's first bring up the objects that we already have in our objects folder. So we have our roof. Alright, click on it and drag it right here. Next we have, let's go to background tab and add our background. Go to objects tab and we have our ground. Alright, let's bring it right here. Alright, so now we need to import few more objects for bringing it up. So let's go to sprite, right click on it, create sprite, and we need to load sprite, and inside it we need to have our replay. Alright, click on center and click, I'm going to name it replay underscore sprite and I'll click OK. Let's right click on sprite, create sprite, and click on load sprite, and inside it we have our we have our blue, and now we need to bring up our exit, which is in red color. So click on exit, click on center, and I'm going to name it exit underscore sprite, and I'll click OK. Another object that we need to create just for designing purpose. So let's go and where it is, this is one. Okay, sprite 26 underscore 0. Okay, let's click on center and I'm going to name it balloons and sprite, and I'll click OK. These are just static objects. Okay, so now we need to create the objects out of those sprites. So right click and create, click on this icon, and I'm going to click on balloons and sprite. Okay, and I'm going to name it balloons and obj. okay, and click OK. Alright, let's click on it and click on this object, click on this and just drag it right here. Okay, now we need to bring up two buttons. So let's first create the objects out of those sprites. So create object, click on this icon and replay sprite, replay underscore obj. Okay, let's right click on object, create the object for our exit sprite, exit underscore obj, click OK. Alright, let's click on this icon, and first what I want to do now, I want to bring the reply and exit buttons into my buttons folder. Alright, let's drag this up inside buttons, drag the exit one inside button as well. Now click on this icon, go to the buttons folder and click on this replay, click right here and drag it right here. Okay, and click on this icon, go to the buttons folder, click on exit obj, click on this and drag it right here. Right click, delete. Okay, so now we have designed our interface. Inside this kind of rectangular balloons object, we need to show our current score and our high score. Alright, but first of all let's print up the current score if we end our game and we are navigated to our this room, this end room. Okay, so now let's click on this tick icon to save all the changes and click on it. Now for creating and showing up the local scores, we need to create another controller inside the objects folder, and inside the objects folder we have our controllers. Okay, right click on it, create object, and inside it I'm going to name this controller as our, what should we name it? Let's say your scores. Okay, click on OK. But before that, in the end screen I want to create another font. Alright, so for creating another font we need to right click on font, create font, and I'm going to name this font your score, and what should be the font family? So I'm going to click on this one. You can click on any of these, and I'm going to change the size to 50. Alright, so everything is pretty fine, so I'll click OK. So we have defined our font. Now let's open up our your score controller, and inside this controller I'm going to click on draw and click on draw again, and inside it I'm going to bring up my script, and inside it I need to draw that scores. Okay, so draw underscore set color C underscore black, draw underscore set underscore font your score. This is the name of font that we have just created under the fonts folder. And lastly we need to print our font room underscore width divided by 2, and I will decrement it by 220, and from the top I need to bring up the font up to the 300 pixels, and lastly I need to print up the string, and I need to concatenate our scores with the score text. So I will write score and I will add few spaces, and I will end up the double quotes, and I will concatenate it with string global dot your underscore score, the same variable that we have been using for showing up the score in our playroom. Alright, make sure there is no syntax error, every bracket is closed. Let's save it. Okay, click tick icon, click OK, and I'll open up my end room, and I will go let's maximize it. Click on this icon and I will go to controllers and I will click on your score. Okay, I will zoom in, I will click right here and I will drag it inside the grid. Okay, so this will print the scores, our current score, under these rectangular balloons objects. So I'll click this tick icon, I will press Ctrl S to save my project and I'll click my play button. Click on start, click on it and I'll just let it go. Let's create some scores. Okay, so now I'll let my 5 balloons go down. Alright, so you can see that we have our end screen and we have shown our score 10 that we just made, and we have 2 buttons. Now let's write some click event on this replay and exit button. We also need to write our click event for our exit button that is at the start screen. Alright, so let's first open up this exit button that is inside the start page, and I will add event, I will mouse and I will write left released. Okay, and I will bring up my script under this event. Okay, now we need to end our game. To end our game we can write game underscore end, and this will close our game whether we are running on desktop, mobile or web. Okay, click, let's copy this line and I will open up my exit obj as well, and I will add the same event left released, bring up the script and I will paste this one. Click on tick icon. Now click on replay button and open left released, and inside the control tab we have our script, and inside the script we should navigate to our play screen. Alright, play room when we click on replay button. So we will write room underscore go to, and inside it we need to enter the name of our room, which is play. Alright, so we need to test all these buttons now. Let's click OK and save our project. Let's click our play button. And first I'll click on exit. Game has ended. So this is working fine. Alright, and now let's go and check out our replay button. Start, click on it, and let's just go down and we have our scores. Let's click on replay, so we are navigated to our play screen. Alright, so for now everything is working fine. Alright, we have to add our high scores now. Alright, so let's go and let's write some code for including our ini file, which is just like the file handling for implementing the high scores inside this end page. So let's go and do that. So let's create our controller for our high scores. So I'm going to create an object and I'm going to name it high scores. Alright, and inside this controller I'm going to create an event called create, and I'll go to control and again I will drag up my script, and inside this script I need to use something called ini files. Just like file handling, we create our text files and we write anything inside that text file. We open that file in order to fetch any data from that text file. So now first of all I need to open my ini file, and if that file doesn't exist, this function will automatically create that ini file. So I will write ini underscore open. This is the built-in function. This will open up my ini file that is saved inside my project, whether we are running our game in Android, iOS, web or desktop. Okay, so inside its brackets I'm going to write the name of my ini file, and I'm going to name it high scores.ini. ini should be the extension of our ini files. Alright, if it doesn't exist first time, it's going to create. Alright, and after that I need to define a variable which will store my high score in that file. Alright, so I will write urhigh score equals to ini underscore read underscore real. Alright, and just like we create our database, in ini file we need to create our table and we need to define attributes inside that table. Right now we just have our one attribute, that is high score, so we need to do it right here. So I will write high score table and I have given it the name of my table. Okay, and after that I need to give it an attribute name h underscore score. This is the attribute name. We can write anything right here, and after that we need to give it the default value, the first value that needs to be stored in this attribute, and the default value should be 0. And when we will install our game in our Android device, this value should be 0. Alright, so let's add the semicolon, and after that we need to check if our high scores are less than our current score. Then we need to update our high score variable with our current score. Otherwise the high score will remain the previous scores that we have stored in this high scores.ini file. So right now we will write global underscore your underscore score, which is the variable that is storing our local scores, greater than the variable. And inside this if condition we can I'm just going to copy this variable and paste it right here, and this would be equal to my current score. Alright, and just like we do in file handling, we need to close our file. Once we open the file, we need to close it. ini underscore close will close my ini file. Alright, so that's been done for this script. We need to add another script for showing up our score, for drawing our score, just like we have been doing in our local score. So let's click on this tick icon, and I'm going to create another event, and that would be draw. Inside the draw we can draw our text. So I will write draw set color, and I will write black draw set color, and I'm going to use same font like I used in your scores, so because that should be equal. So I will write your score, and after that I will draw my text. Room underscore width divided by 220, and from the top it should be 400 because our local scores are at 300 from the top, so this should be 400. And I will write best, and I will add few spaces. Okay, and I will concatenate it with my variable that I have created inside my create script. I haven't added global keyword inside just before this variable name because I'm using this variable inside the same object. If I needed to use any variable outside this object in another object, I could write global dot before this variable name. So I'm going to copy this variable, click on it, and I'm going to paste it right here, and I will add 2 brackets after that. Okay, so make sure you write your code same as I have done. Alright, but we need to create another controller, and that controller will keep on checking if we have ended our game, or if our game has ended, even then we should execute this high scores code. Alright, otherwise it will keep on running and it will create a lot of performance problem. Alright, so now we need to create another controller, and inside this controller we just create controller, and I'm going to name it check high score. Alright, and I will add an event step, and I will drag my script. Okay, inside this script I need to check a variable that I added in my scores controller, and I'll show you just now because I need to add one line in that controller in my balloons object as well. Okay, so first of all let's check if global dot stars equals to 1 and this will become equals to 1 whenever any balloon goes down the screen, and otherwise it will remain 0. So if any balloon goes down the screen, then it will become 1, and then we will check our high scores. Okay, so I will write ini underscore open, same as we did inside it, because we are using ini file, same table. We need to actually, let's open up the high scores, and inside the create I'm going to copy this whole code. Okay, and I'm going to paste that code inside it. All right, so now we are done with it. But we need to change one line inside it. We are not storing our local scores inside our your high score, but we need to change this line in ini underscore right underscore real, and I'm going to bring up my table, high score table, comma h underscore score global dot your underscore score. All right, and I'm opening up my table, and inside the table we have attribute h underscore score, and I'm adding the value inside that attribute with my local scores. All right, so let's this is inside the step event. Let's click OK, and let's save this one. Our script is inside the check high score controller inside the step event. I'll click OK. All right, and inside our balloons, let's open up the blue, and inside the step event, inside this one, I need to write global dot stars equals to 1. This is where we are storing 1 inside this stars variable. So I'm going to copy this line, click OK, and I'm going to paste it in all the balloons object. Step, paste it right here, and I will open up green. Step, this one, I'll click OK. Yellow, click OK. Purple, step, click this tick icon and click OK. All right, so we are done with it. Now we need to add both the controllers inside our end room. All right, so I will just zoom in, and I will open up my controllers, your high score, controllers, and high scores. All right, so let's add our tick icon, and we also need to add these controller inside our playroom. So check high score, I'll drag this one, and I will go to controller, your high score. All right, let's click on tick icon. I'll press Control S to save my project. Now this should work. So I have played my game. Let's click on start, click on pop me. Wow. Let's actually, we have done something wrong. Best score, let's replay it, and I want to check if my scores get updates or not. High scores should remain 25. So our best high scores are working fine, but one thing we need to do, we don't need to add our scores. I think we have added wrong controller inside our playroom. So let's open up the play, and I will click on it, and I will drag it right here, and I will just hover my cursor on it and see the name of my controller right below this window. This is check high score, this is your score. This shouldn't be your score. I will delete this one. Right click and delete. Okay, so I will drag this one. I just need to have the check high score inside my play screen. Okay, let's save it, click tick, and let's play the game. Start, top me, and I will make more than 25 for now because the previous high scores were 25. Let's click on star. So now I will let all the balloons go down, and the high scores should be replaced with 29. So our best high score 29, and replay, and 0. So let's go and see local score should be 2 and high score should be 29. So our high scores are working fine. If I close my game, or whether I'm playing on Android, iPhone, Windows Phone, desktop or web, this INI file will be created inside that application directory. So we are done with our scores part. Next we need to do a few more things. We need to add our sound, and we need to add the functionality of go to main menu and the pause functionality. Alright, so now let's go and do that.